let's talk about Thomas Tuchel. So the FA are in talks with reps of Thomas Tuchel, and apparently he is now in pole position to become the new England manager. Sky have reported this, Matt Law's reported this, and Zark Kinsella, I'm sure by the time you're listening or watching this, others have as well. He is set to be the successor to Gareth Southgate, and of course Lee Carsley has overseen this interim spell where England lost to Greece over the international break, where they did beat Finland on Sunday evening. This would be an incredible appointment. I mean, in terms of star appointments, in terms of picking up elite coaches for England, I think I think it'd be really unfair or just weird to see any major scrutiny or criticism of this in terms of the level of coach England would be getting. I'm a little bit surprised, but to be honest, I have felt that Tuchel needs to go into international football for a long period of time. I even felt during the summer that Nagelsmann should be the one still at Bayern and Tuchel would be better placed as Germany's head coach, because Thomas Tuchel, and Chelsea fans probably know this more concretely, more emotionally than any others. He is a tournament specialist. He is someone that comes in and can make a very quick impact, especially in tournament football and especially in scenarios where you are not the favourites and you have to go up against better quality opposition. You have a short period of time to build a system, to work out how to better the opponent who may have bigger strengths than you, but do have some weaknesses to exploit. I just think in terms of those fine margins, in terms of what we saw from Tuchel at Chelsea, everything that made Tuchel great at Chelsea were those occasions. The Champions League run, obviously, but even in the second year in the Champions League, the way he dealt with that Real Madrid second leg. I mean, Chelsea was so close to doing what felt like impossible at the beginning of that game, and the way he conducted himself in both cup competitions, the way he came up against clubs like Man City and Liverpool, and tactically I thought put Chelsea in a really strong position to beat those teams, even if it was fine margins and we ended up, in the case of Liverpool, losing on penalties twice. I mean, that is quite rare. I think tactically England would be getting a high caliber coach, and all those criticisms and doubts that people had of Gareth Southgate could maybe be rectified in those really tight games by Thomas Tuchel. I always think the concern for me with Tuchel was over the course of a league season, but of course in international football it's shorter bursts. How Tuchel, who is very, I think, meticulous and detail orientated, how he would deal to that transition at this point in his career to international football, I think would be interesting. But I feel in terms of where he's been, the struggles he's had, I actually think this would be the perfect transition. And of course, as an England fan, as a Chelsea, England fan, he going to England would be wonderful, right? It'd just be great to listen to him in press conferences. I think we'd spend a lot of time. One of my favourite ever coaches to listen to at Chelsea at press conferences. I rarely ever missed a press conference, and said so much interesting things. At times, those not caught on camera, but such a great talker and educator about the game. I'm happy that he could be taking that role. How he would work with the current England team and the players at his disposal, because I do think that it's kind of an awkward transition now for England, because they have a group of players that work for Southgate that got to the finals, that got to the semi-finals, and that generation is starting to be phased out a little bit, or at least you can see the new crop of players, whether that be Kobe Mainu, Rico Lewis, of course, playing during the international break. Braithwaite, I think, could maybe come in after his injury. Levi Colwill, obviously, from a Chelsea perspective. Cole Palmer. You've still got so many young players breaking through and getting through. And hopefully for them, the likes of Jude Bellingham. I mean, Jude Bellingham is very established now, but he's got some incredible talent to work with, along with, I think, talent to develop. And I just think tactically, it would be really interesting to see how he'd manage England at a tournament, because I do think he could be a game changer. I really do. So I'm all in favour of this, and I'd love to see it. And it also, I think, as a side note, would stop, I guess, the dread of some Chelsea fans of seeing him turn up at Old Trafford, because given what's going on with Erik ten Hag currently at Manchester United, I don't think he's going to survive long. And obviously Tuchel has been linked to that job for a long period of time. So it would rule that out, at least for a chunk of time. And given England will want to compete seriously at the next World Cup, the Nations League, I just think it would be a landmark appointment. Obviously, Klopp has been talked about, Potter's been talked about, Eddie Howe's been talked about, even Pep Guardiola has been talked about. But I just feel for Tuchel, it just feels like especially for him in his career, I think he's really struggled, and maybe his reputation has taken a slight hit because of what happened at Bayern Munich as well, in terms of the league and, not being able to put a team together. I think the big criticism of Tuchel is over the course of a season, the way he very much prepares teams in like the Champions League to kind of counteract what someone else is doing. That is what I think makes Tuchel a great coach, is he's able to counteract others. I think that just more suits stylistically international football. I would like to see Tuchel return to club football at some point. It's whether he can ever evolve to that level, especially if he was to come back to the Premier League, maybe with Chelsea one day, and be able to evolve in that sense. But maybe this is the time to move to international football for him to become England manager, and maybe, just maybe, he is the guy to get England past that final step, because England in recent years have gone further than I ever felt they could. And of course, everyone's been calling for this elite coach. I think in terms of what you're going to get at international football level, coaches who aren't working in, the game, in the club game currently, I think Tuchel is one of the best, if not the best, currently on the market. So let me know your thoughts on that. I know there's a lot who listen to my show, watch my show, who may not be that interested with international football, but I think for Chelsea fans, English Chelsea fans, I mean, this would be an easy win, really, it would. And I think for others as well, it'd be quite exciting to see him take up the mantle and see what he could do with this current group of players.